What's up, guys? This is English Grammar Explained, and today we continue talking about use of infinitive and so-called ing form or gerunds. So, like you see, there are already three cases of using infinitive and gerund or ing form, and this is the part 2, and I continue with the case number 4. Case number 4 in some way is related to the case number 2, after nouns and adjectives. We already know that infinitive is used after nouns and adjectives. And, well, what about ing form? Is it also used after adjectives and nouns? What about gerunds? So, I can put it like this. Both infinitive and ing form after adjectives and nouns. But there are some peculiarities. In case of infinitive, if I put any adjective or any noun in the sentence, just anything and everything, any words basically, I can put infinitive after it, and this is just like in case 2. After nouns and adjectives, I'm happy to meet you. It's a nightmare to study here, and so on, so on. Of course, before adjectives and nouns can be some words. There can be, is, are, am, was, were, and so on. Of course, there can be to and enough, 2 words. After them I put adjective or noun, and then I can put some infinitive. Let me take some example. He is too young to drive. So, what we have here? We have to, then we have adjective, and then I have my infinitive. That's it. Or let's take another example. I've got enough money to buy it. So, what I have here? I have enough, and then I have noun, and then here is my infinitive. This is it. In other cases, adjectives and nouns can be part of complexes, so-called for complex, complex object, complex subject, and so on, so on. They cannot be separated from that complex. From the first sight, it can be, in some way arcane, but it's quite easy because you just remember the order of words in your sentence, and that's basically it. For example, it is generous of him to help us. Here we have generous. This is my adjective. Then I have some object here, and then I have my infinitive in here. All this thing, all this is complex, basically. Okay, enough with complexes. What about ing form? What about gerunds? Can I use gerunds with adjectives and nouns? Of course I can, but there are some restrictions. I can use adjectives and nouns with gerunds, but they must be a part of some phrase. The difference between nouns and adjectives as part of some phrase and nouns and adjectives as part of some complex or just a part of my sentence is that here I can replace young, money, or generous with some other words. That's not important, that's not crucial. I can put here evil, I can put here good, I can put here just everything and anything. But in case of nouns and adjectives as part of some phrase, I have to put my phrase exactly as it is. It's very, very important. So, what phrases can I use here? Phrases like that. I'm busy. It's worse. It's no good. It's no use. Have trouble. In addition to, there is no point. In others, there are tons of these phrases, and in this case, I cannot replace busy with some other words. I cannot replace worse with some other word. I cannot place here good, bad, or something. That's the phrase. Well, I just have to remember them. Let's have some example. I have trouble using my new application. Here is my phrase. Here is my ink form. Like I said, I cannot replace this trouble with something else, money or happiness or whatever. I have to use trouble because that's the part of the phrase. Okay, let's go on. Well, case number 5, maybe it's the most interesting case because we use both ink form and infinitive after certain verbs. That's very, very mysterious. What verbs exactly? And the main problem with this case is that we have no rule, basically no rule, what kind of verbs I can use before infinitive and what kind of verbs I can use before gerund or ing form. Well, I just have to remember them, to memorize all these verbs, and to tell you the truth, there are tons of them. So, I have to use infinitive after these verbs. Appear, promise. I just write them by memory, from my memory, so that's quite a random list. Hope, plan, agree, decide, expect, refuse, and so on. Well, what about ing form? Here I can use gerund after avoid, mind, quit, recall, stand, delay, deny, enjoy, well, fancy, finish, forgive, imagine, and so on. Well, you may ask me, how can I find all these verbs, where they can be found? Well, in your grammar book, basically in any grammar book, in any textbook, in any student's book, you can find list of these verbs, after which we use infinitive or gerunds, and usually these lists, these charts of them, are put in add-ons with a list of irregular verbs and so on in the end of your book. Just look into the end of your book and, well, I can guarantee that there is some chart of these verbs. And finally, last but not least, case number 6, we use infinitive and gerund after modal verbs. How can it be? Well, of course we use infinitive after modal verbs. We use modals just like can, may, might, must, could, and others, should. And then we put so-called bare infinitive. That's infinitive without to. And of course we use have, ought, and be with full infinitive. Infinitive with to. After modal verbs, we use only infinitive. Only infinitive, guys. No other words. No adjectives. No nouns. No gerunds. Nothing. Just infinitive. That's it. Well, let me have some example. I can play golf. That's it. Here I have my modal verb can, and then I have my bare infinitive. Let me have another example with full infinitive. I have to play golf. Well, some stupid sentence, but I have my modal verb here, and then I have my full infinitive here. Well, easy. What about gerunds? Well, guys, gerund is not used with modal verbs. No way. You cannot tell that I can playing golf. That's wrong. That's completely wrong. So, nothing like that is allowed. But there is some trick. We can put modal in our sentence, some modal verb, no matter what. Then we put infinitive. And after this infinitive, I can place gerund. Like that. So, ing form or gerund can be put after infinitive. But remember about restrictions. Gerund is not used after all the verbs. It is used after these verbs. So, I have to memorize the verbs after which I can put gerund, and then I can use some verb in its infinitive form, and then I put my gerund. Well, let me illustrate how it can be. I just take my sentence from here. I can play golf. I can imagine playing golf. That's it. So, Here is my modal verb, can. Then I put my infinitive, bare infinitive, because bare infinitive is used after can. And then I put ing form here. So, how can I know that playing or ing form is used after imagine? Well, let's go up. And here I have imagine. That's it. So, after imagine, I can put ing form. And I do it. Easy. That's one more reason to memorize the verbs, after which we can put gerunds and infinitives. And, that's basically it. That's all for now. That was part 2. And of course, I will do some exercises to illustrate all these cases, because the rule is very, very complex, and there are a lot of interesting cases of use infinitive and gerunds. So, that's all for now. Please subscribe, leave your comments, and see you in the next video.